Schedule it's until 10:05. Never mind. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a really weird version of the main event. You have with me, Daniel.
And Aaron.
And we are on a road trip to Leeds today. We've got a game of football. So we thought we'd do everything from here. Be a bit different. Hopefully, you can hear us okay. Hopefully, you can't hear all the rumblings of the car too much. Hopefully, we don't crash. That would be interesting. I don't think there's ever been a live crash on YouTube before, so it could go viral. But here we are. We're here to talk about the World Cup fantasy game. That's been a really hot topic recently because they can't decide on what rules they want to play. We do think we've got an idea of the rules now. So we want to go through all the games, but we really want to focus on, because we'll be here for hours, and I think the journey is about an hour and a half. So we can't go through absolutely every single detail in its minutiae. Instead, what we're going to do is talk about our chip strategies. We will try and confirm some of the rules. We'll answer any questions in the chat. And we want to base the players that we're talking about around chip strategies. Now, Aaron has been struggling with the rules, haven't you? So
Yeah.
you aren't fully decided.
I don't know if people can hear me or not, or whether it's just going to be my mouth move, but Dan, you may have to repeat what I say. So I've not finalized the team I've not finalized my chip strategy yet. And I want to kind of see what the rules are, because I still see confusion about the wild cards and stuff like that, what a locked and unlocked player is. So I'm kind of waiting for that. But in terms of match day one, I think I'm good to go, barring any last minute injuries like the Benzema one.
So, yeah, I mean, that was a bit of a shock for everyone. And I suppose what we'd like is anyone that knows anything about Deschamps or the French starting lineup, although I'm sure Deschamps himself doesn't quite know, who's going to fill in for Benzema? Is going to play the same formation? Maybe go for Nkunku up there? Is going to change to a 4-3-3? Because he did say he was thinking about playing a 4 at the back, and I think a lot of us thought he was bluffing. But if that does happen, is Dembele going to play on the right? Is Coman going to play on the right? Are they both going to play? Does he drop Griezmann, play Mbappe through the middle? Does Mbappe move to the left? Does Griezmann go through the middle? It's a bit of a nightmare trying to predict that lot. So let's talk about chip strategies first of all. And it's been quite a big one. It was broken by Andy, Let's Talk FPL, because he's been in touch with someone close to the game, and then the rules were put out and it seemed to confirm everything that he said. It also confirmed what Lewis and I were talking about on our first Spaces. For everyone that listened to that one, it was recorded, with regards to captaincies, how you can't just change them all the time every day. It is, you get 2 captains, basically, a bit like the Champions League game. So the major news is that because we can make transfers throughout the game day, it's a soft deadline, essentially. And the major deadlines hit whenever a team starts playing. What that means is we can go through, make transfers whenever we like, and the situation is that players become locked or unlocked. So, if a team is played, and there is a player for that team, or is currently playing, the game's kicked off, that player becomes locked. If a player is yet to play, that player is unlocked. Whenever you make a transfer for a locked player, either way, whether you're taking out a locked player or bringing in a locked player, that means the transfer isn't going to go through properly until the following match day begins, okay? If you are making transfers for 2 unlocked players, it'll happen immediately. Now, with the idea of the wild card, what that means is you can play a wild card any match day you want, except for one, so this one, and the round of 16. But then, during this time, you can obviously make wildcard transfers to your team, which I think breaks the game a little bit. And for those that are going to want to play this game more casually, I think they're going to get left behind. So immediately, the more invested players, it's going to suit them. Now, I've seen a few people tweet that they think that there could be some sort of limitless glitch going on, whereby, let's say you had Harry Kane play, he's 11.5 million. You take him, he's played, you've got his points, you take him out for a 4.5 million player, which would then free up your budget. Harry Kane's points would count towards that week, but you've got the budget and that other player for next week. But what you can do then is reinvest that 6 million you've made, 7 million you made, and put it into another premium. I don't think this is going to work. And the reason I don't think it's going to work is because I've got a feeling the budget on locked players isn't going to change until those transfers are made. And those transfers are not confirmed. They're only pending until the following match day. So it's up to you if you want to take a risk on the glitch. I personally won't be, and I personally wouldn't recommend setting your team up. Otherwise, you could miss out on some big options that play later on in the week because you've stacked premiums at the beginning. So that is something to think about. So Aaron, with this in mind, have you got any ideas on what you're going to do for your chips?
I think definitely there's a massive advantage for playing the wildcard match day 2, because match day 3 there'll be some rotation because the games do come every 4 days, I believe. And so they'll want to make sure, like, secure qualification. If any team had any shock results, they'll want to get back on track. And I think it is a weaker opposition. While even though, if I remember correctly, the quarterfinals in the last World Cup had massive score lines. I think back to like France, Argentina.
Yes.
And so when I played the World Cup fantasy game last time, I had a massive uptake in rank because of that game. Although I don't know what the overall rank was. I was just focusing on my work one. But the having Mbappe then, who was kind of like he wasn't a superstar yet, but he was really good because he had just beaten Man City with Monaco, if I remember correctly. So them type of punts and players do come heroes in the quarterfinals. Thinking of obviously James Rodriguez, a couple of World Cups ago, he shone in the quarterfinals. So I think that's potentially another chip point. But when it gets closer and closer to the final, I think teams are so scared to lose that the score lines get less and less, and which potentially prioritizing over premium defenders. I don't know, you maybe try and get a few more in, but by then it's probably only premium defenders left.
Yeah. Well, you never know. There's some bargains. There are some bargains in the game. Some unbelievable ones, which we'll probably go through. Especially for some like tournament favourites, for dark horses. There's really affordable players.
But I think kind of what you were saying there made sense about the wild card. So yeah, I'll probably stick with a wild card 2 strategy, and then at least I've got a starting 11 for every team to go off. Yeah.
So my strategy at the minute is I've definitely, because I've already played the booster, I'm 12th manning in match day 1, who will be Mbappe, because he's the most expensive person in the team, I think. So yeah, I've chosen him. I could possibly have went a different way, maybe went for a different midfielder, but I don't even know if I can change it now. So I've went for Mbappe, and I'm going to be wildcarding in 2. I think like a lot of people are. The reason I want to wildcard in 2 is so that I can have that for that second game, but then also be making the changes, as we've already explained, so that I can set up for match day 3. Now, you're right, Aaron. There will be some dangers ahead for rotation in match day 3, and that's where I think it's already really important to acknowledge that if a team's won the first 2 games and are going through, perhaps not the smartest idea to be picking players from those teams. You want to be getting players from teams that have maybe won 1, lost 1, maybe drawn a couple, and then have just a good final fixture. Perhaps because the first 2 have been really difficult. But we will be doing, obviously, reviews and all that sort of stuff later on. So that's nothing to worry about now. Comments. I know we've got absolutely loads. Let's try and go through some. We'll just go from the top, and then we'll dive right into the players. So, Joe, who do your top 3 keepers be just for this match day? Any budget? Right, so, Joe, I'm going to go through the teams, and we'll touch on goalkeepers, because Aaron's found it difficult, and this was the position that I've also found most difficult. However, with my chip strategy, I've found it much easier. Oh, already had that one. You're in a car driving? Yep, I think we
There's a
did
lot
put
of
it.
comments on that.
Yeah, you guys are professionals. I can't tell if that's sarcasm. Absolute maniacs. Just a lot of time for the term maniac. Good evening. Where are you, nuclear atoms? If it's an evening for you, it's nice and early morning for us. A couple here saying Nkunku was out. That is not good for him, but it does help.
I think he was out a week ago.
Hello, Matt, my other babe. Yes, we are together. Connor's getting more confused. I think that's probably with the wild card stuff. I may have just made things worse for you, Connor. I'm so sorry. It's like Max and Paddy. Which one am I? Hi, Abdul. I still can't get over the fact that you're driving and streaming. I did mention that we would be doing this. We said it was going to be different.
Road trip, road to Qatar. Well,
Yes, we're driving to Qatar. Interesting new background. Yeah, this is an actually we aren't actually driving. This is just a new feature from Zoom Teams. Is KDB way too expensive, and is it better to invest on others like Musiala or Modric? Okay, we'll be talking about that as well. So let's dive in to the games now. We aren't going to go through every single team because I just don't think some of it's worth it, and we'll Plazenia them.
Yeah.
We'll Plazenia certain teams. So the first game, Qatar versus Ecuador, that's on tonight. So make sure you've got your teams all sorted by then. Not the opening game I was hoping for.
I've actually donated some of my 1 million budget to try and bribe Ecuador.
Did you see those rumours?
Yeah, I've seen.
I think they came out from Saudi media outlets, so I don't think they were real. I think we're all right for that. I hope not. Anyway, I've got an Ecuadorian player. I think everyone has. I think everyone's got the same player. Right. We're not picking anyone from Qatar, are we? No. Plazenia, nice and easy. I don't think they're going to do anything. Ecuador are a really strong defensive team. They don't offer loads going forward. They
did really, really well to qualify for the
Yeah.
South American. I think it's the last time they appeared at a World Cup, 2006 potentially.
Did they not play us?
2010, I don't know.
I think they might have played us.
No, was that not Colombia?
No, 2006. I think they played us. I think.
Oh right, I'm sorry. I thought you meant recently.
No. I think in
think
2006 they played. I think
Yeah, it was.
David Beckham scored that fluky free kick against them. I think it was them. Someone tell us. We don't have anything to fact check ourselves, so
Let me just pull up my phone
yeah.
while driving.
Just get up my nostrils.
Video evidence.
So I think for Ecuador, we also don't want to be looking at the forwards. Some people are going for Casino in midfield, being a holding midfielder. I don't think the tackles are very good in this game. And it's something that we can look at points-wise overall. Obviously, midfielders still get 5 points for scoring. They get an extra 1 for key passes. But with forwards also getting 5 points for scoring and defenders getting more points for scoring, scoring is now levied higher. So the points distribution will be skewed from other games where there's like ball recoveries, for example. So that's really important to grasp that not only is scoring better for other positions, but it makes anything where it's like 1 point become a little bit weaker in value. With that in mind, when Leafy Dragon was posting a lot of sort of content last week, I think it was, around tackles, if you look at the average tackle rate, I think only one player in that list got more than 3 tackles a game on average. So is that a steady stream of points? So we're really going to be picking players based on getting 1 extra point because it's not a ball recovery, it is specifically a tackle. So I don't really fancy getting any players like that in. I just want goal threats and nothing else, or assist threats, set piece takers for key passes, things like that. And with that in mind, I just therefore don't think any Ecuador players are really great, except for Estupiñán, which we've all said, we're not breaking the mould here. We've seen how attacking he can be for Brighton. also more than capable of getting a yellow card. But at £4.5 million, he's playing for a really defensive team against one of the weakest attacking teams in the competition, and I only won a 1 week punt, and he plays on the first day, so I can transfer him out if it all goes wrong. I think, as far as no-brainers go, it has to be him.
I think getting a player from this match is probably the only way to get excited about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree at all.
It is a rough game.
It's
to be fair.
It's got 1-0 written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah, to Qatar.
You're going to be skinned. We'll do predictions on this one. What do you think the score's actually going to be? 1-0 Qatar? It could be.
No, I think it'll be 2-0 Ecuador.
Interesting. I'm going to go 1-0 Ecuador. And I think Estupiñán's going to get himself a nice little assist. I bet the right back scores. Guaranteed. Or Casino. After I've said him.
I think there'll be a penalty.
Do you think so?
Yeah, that's why I went with 2. I think it'll be a goal and then they'll get sloppy and get a penalty. I think, isn't Estupiñán, isn't he on free kicks or corners? I think I read on someone's thread.
It's on set pieces.
He might be.
I didn't even look. I just wasn't going to go for anyone else anyway.
I don't think it's direct. I think it's from crossing it.
Yeah, take that all day long. Although I don't think defenders get key passes, but you might get more assists. So what we'll do is we'll go through, obviously, by the day, and then at the end of each day's worth of games, we'll look at the comments. So that's today's done. Sorry for my finger in front of the camera. Best goalkeeping options, like I say, Philip, we're going to go through those as we go through. I'm from Bangladesh. It's past 4 p.m. It's going to be dusk in about an hour. Well, thank you for listening from Bangladesh. That's much appreciated. Do you fancy an African punt? Potentially, Lewis. I was thinking of one. It's just the game day that bothers me. But I'll have to think. I really should.
Yes.
Yes, was 2006.
The memory coming in clutch.
In Bangladesh, everyone's crazy about Brazil and Argentina. Even celebrates here. Can't even. Sorry, the camera's going a bit bubbly. It's not your eyes.
It's my driving.
It's Aaron's terrible driving. Just I suppose Brazil and Argentina. Well, they've got flags for the team. That's interesting. What's the connection there with Brazil and Argentina and Bangladesh? It's just because they're the best team? Another one from Bangladesh. Nice to meet you. Current defence is Dumfries, Trippier, Mela, Sosa and Pavard. Well, I've got 3 of those 5, sorry. Would you have a Estupiñán over Pavard? That's interesting. We will discuss that as well. Because there is a little bit of talk about with France. Cool. Right, so let's jump on to the next game. So we're not going to go in the game order. I'm going in group order. So to finish off that group, we've got Senegal and the Netherlands. Come on then, Aaron. Koulibaly. You've graded and cursed them. Chelsea fans, if you're wondering why he's been so bad, it's because this man right here.
Every time I say he's good, he just doesn't play good. I think a massive loss to Senegal just as a whole is losing Mane. I don't know if it'll be as catastrophic as Brazil losing Neymar in the World Cup in 2014. I mean, if they do come out all wearing Mane shirts, then, well, I think Netherlands are going to be licking their lips, to be honest.
Yeah.
Senegal are a good team. They are the AFCON winners, current champions. And overall, you kind of recognize a lot of these names because they are becoming more kind of household in the big leagues around Europe. We obviously have a lot of them in the Premier League. And for a while, they have been building into a good team, but I think in the last World Cup, they didn't do well at all. And that was kind of the same in AFCON, from what I remember, is that they had the potential, but then they would lose. I think they lost to Algeria, the AFCON before that. And I think it's just a mentality thing. They have the talent on paper, but obviously we know that football is not played on paper. You're bringing out that trope.
Oh, thank you, Michael Owen, in the studio.
But I think Netherlands are too good of a team for this first game. I think Senegal is potentially someone who, if they had Mane, you potentially target the game week, match day 2 and 3. But with the Netherlands, with the current loss of their captain, I think it is Netherlands to lose, to be honest. But Netherlands aren't that strong mentally either. I mean, they didn't make it at the last Euros, did they? It was the competition before that World Cup.
Yeah, it was the World Cup before. They made the Euros. Senegal, they won the last AFCON, I think.
Yeah,
but,
they did. Penalties to Egypt.
Penalties to Egypt, yeah. Mane scored the winner, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think I don't know. I didn't watch AFCON, I'll be honest. I just didn't watch it.
I just watched the final. Fake fan.
Fake fan. What a final to watch, 0-0, Pens.
It's my fault.
I watched the Pens. Yeah, I saw bits of it, but obviously there was loads of controversy around that referee that blew after 80 minutes and then again after 88 or whatever it was. Yes, I didn't watch loads of it, but you've got to take history into account here, and we do have to take unfortunately socioeconomics, geopolitics into factoring how we can levy these teams, and ultimately African football gets pillaged largely by Europe. If you look at how many African players, for example, play for France, even quite a few youngsters come through and play for England. You've got Germany, Netherlands. So you've got to take that into account, the infrastructure. And when we look historically at how well African teams have done, I don't think a single one qualified from the groups of the last tournament, as far as I remember. The two great African teams in my lifetime, or not my lifetime, since I've been watching football. I think my first World Cup was 1998. Was 2002, which was Senegal, and 2006, which was Ghana. And those two teams were amazing.
Was it 2010?
It was 2010. I thought it was 2006. I think they had it in both.
When it was in South Africa and Ghana got knocked out by the Suarez handball.
Oh, there was that as well, wasn't there? So they had two good, because they had a couple of tournaments worth of unbelievable players, especially when Michael Essien was playing for them. But I mean, even that first Senegal team was where did they come from? Ivory Coast are flatter to deceive in the past, and I do just feel that way. I think when I look at the African teams, I think Morocco looks stronger.
Yeah, they do definitely have a good team. I think I was listening to a debate the other day, and it's actually about the coaching. So they were talking about should African teams bring in European coaches. And I thought that was a really interesting debate because obviously they're proud of having people from their own country represent the national team in every aspect, as most countries are. But they talked about what would happen if a top European coach came in and managed an African national team. What would happen? And there was a debate on African coaching and that the infrastructure is not there for coaches to really strive.
Well, if you look,
so I think that is a massive part in international football, where if the coaching isn't up to par, then you see the big deficit. Obviously, there's the debate about Southgate, whether he is considered a top coach, but I think there's the infrastructure in England for him to be able to succeed.
Yeah.
As well as he can do, whilst in other countries there isn't. And I think that's what potentially is a lot of these African countries' biggest downfall, is the fact that they do not have a coaching infrastructure that really, really helps. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And even if you look at someone like Carlos Queiroz going across to Iran, and they look like a much better team because of how long he's been there, whereas you wouldn't class Iran as a great footballing nation. So I definitely think there's merit to that. For me, wildcarding in 2, I'm not considering any Senegal players against the group favourites. That's not to say they can't get a result. Like you've already said, Netherlands can be a bit strange. They lost the last friendly game.
They didn't do well in the Nations League, if I remember.
They didn't. I think Van Gaal is overcomplicating things. I currently have Denzel Dumfries because I'm scared not to have him. But I actually don't want him that much. I just don't want to. It's about having fun, and he's a really fun player to own and to watch. But I could see, honestly, Senegal could win. They could score. They're probably the two favourites of the group to go through. I just think without Mane there, that it's such a massive, massive loss. And they are going to have other players come in. Dia is probably going to be one of the players to come in that role, and lots of people are talking about how exciting he is. They've obviously got some fantastic centre backs. So it's not to put people off going for them at all. It's just not a route that I want to go down. And even other people picking Netherlands players. So I said, you know what, I fancy Bergwijn, 7 million. He is a midfielder on the game. He's playing up front. He looks absolutely nailed to start up front with Janssen because Depay is not fit yet. So I think if you're looking for a player in that bracket, he looks great. But again, I do really respect Senegal and especially what they're capable of defensively. So do I think that's the best use of my €7 million at this stage? Probably not. When a wild card in 2 though, and they've got like the next 2 games, Qatar and Ecuador. Well, even Ecuador might be a bit tough for them with how defensively they play. But when they come up against Qatar, you know, that's when these players can come to fruition. Berghuis looks like he may or may not play, which is a bit of a shock with how well he's doing for Ajax. I think he's been absolutely outstanding for them this season. 7.5 million and a forward. So you're just not going to go for him in the slightest. I think a lot of people are looking at the defence. I think Timber, Van Dijk and Ake are going to be the start of a back 3, which improves Dumfries' attacking capabilities. But defensively, I think they look weaker. I've said on our Champions League podcast over and over again that I just don't think Nathan Ake is good enough. Fight me. So I think that's going to be an issue. And they've got players like De Vrij that they could play to shore up that defence.
And who's used to actually playing in the back 3.
Yes.
He's really, really cheap on the game. I've been looking at him and seeing if he does start. I think he's really good. I can't remember his price off the top of my head though.
I think it's 4.5 million.
And
he's a threat from set pieces, and because he's massive, he's absolutely massive. I think he's absolutely outstanding, and I kind of believe that he doesn't get a game. Obviously, Sven Botman didn't get a call up. There's a few choice decisions, and I think it's the way that Netherlands want to play. They want ball players out from the back. I'm sure De Vrij and Botman could have done that anyway. And it's not a slate Timber. I think Timber's a good defender, but Eredivisie is different to Serie A in the Premier League, just being honest. Lots of talk over the goalkeeper. I would stay away from the Dutch goalkeepers because Pasveer has been playing poorly for Ajax this season. It looks like he's taken that form into the international stage and any friendlies that he's played. It's strongly, strongly rumoured that he is not going to be playing in these games. And then their backup goalkeeper, who everyone thinks was going to play, may not, because apparently they've got some worldy 19-year-old goalkeeper. So stay away from them. Do not go with the Netherlands goalkeeper for 2 reasons. A, you don't know which one's going to be playing, so it's not worth the risk. And B, it's not like they've been keeping loads of clean sheets anyway. Like Dumfries, you are getting for his attacking returns. I'd stay away from the rest of that defence and goalkeeper like my life depended on it. It's not a great move, despite how defensively they're all going to be playing. You got anyone in so far from Netherlands or Senegal?
No, not from what you've mentioned. I'm mostly looking at Group B, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
for this day. But...
Ooh, that's interesting. So we'll start with USA versus Wales, and that is because your wife's American. You've lived in America. You may as well be American. You act like an American.
I do.
You've got shit cracked like an American.
Confirmed.
You say yeehaw like an American. So tell us about Wales.
I think with Wales, obviously who's that person who was on League of Their Own and he did like that big thing?
I always get confused between Michael Sheen and Martin Sheen. Both are actors, but one's Charlie Sheen's dad. I can't remember. That was unbelievable though, wasn't it? Yeah. I think it's Michael Sheen.
So Michael Sheen actually went to the dressing room like the week after that and did that
for
the Wales team. So obviously they're going to be very motivated because apparently they have that on loop
It's unbelievable that.
So so they'll be very motivated. This match is definitely one that I'm very excited to watch, because so many implications on the rest of the group, and whoever wins this goes very much favourite to finish in second place. Obviously, if Iran doesn't cause any upsets or England don't bottle it, I think I'm very excited for it. Bale, I believe, he always just magically becomes fit.
Yep.
Whenever it comes time to play with, for the Welsh team, I think a lot of it will go through him. But when it comes to tournament football, if we go through the last few tournaments, Gareth Bale he scores in almost every game that he plays in, and especially in the group stages. So I don't know how much he is on the game. Probably too expensive.
He's expensive.
So he's probably not an option. Maybe against Iran, but
You see, I totally disagree.
you reckon?
I think defensively, USA have the worst defense in the group out of all four of these teams. Their defense is absolutely shocking. But then you've got, I think Iran have probably got the best defensive setup. They'll be the hardest team to break down out of all of the teams. That includes England.
Good point. They've always been like that, though, haven't they?
Yeah, and then I think Wales have rubbish defenders, but can play together.
At least a lot of their players play in
Yeah,
Championship and Premier League.
but
teams.
that's it. I think they're a Championship defence, but they've got a team spirit and all that sort of stuff, and that's sometimes it's just better. It can be better than quality.
Yeah.
So
But Gareth, I don't even know how much he is, to be honest. But can anyone in the chat just let us know how much Gareth Bale is?
yeah, we don't have anything to fact check, go on notes. We can't go on the app, can't do anything. So this is all from memory. You're getting an hour and a half from our memory.
We'll get comments. Why didn't you talk about this person?
I can't see them. I don't know how much they cost. My brain's only
8 million.
8 million.
So yeah, that is a shout.
But is he a forward on the game?
Is he a forward?
So if he's a forward, it's too much. If it could be a shout match too. If he's a midfielder, then that's fair enough. That is absolutely fair enough against the USA. I still think USA are going to win.
So he is a forward.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm sure I saw him as a forward, and I was like, well, no.
Especially when you've got Richarlison.
Richarlison, 7.5 million.
Lautaro.
Yeah, nah. He's out. That's what I mean. The game just prices so many players out, it's worthless talking about them.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know that.
It's hard, this game, because actually talk about America. I think they've got midfield forward, a really good team.
Yeah. Obviously, they've been excited about this generation for a bit. I remember when they were trying to qualify for I think it was just the last World Cup, to be fair, when they didn't make it.
Yeah, they got beat off Costa Rica or Panama, or it was Panama, I think.
And I was watching with my brother-in-law. I was watching the game live where they were facing, I think it was Haiti, and a 16-year-old Pulisic came on.
Nice.
It might have been the tournament before this then. Depending on
Probably a Gold Cup game or something.
Potentially. And he was bigging up Pulisic, and this is before I even heard about him. And then that summer he was transferred to Dortmund. So from then on, I was like, yeah, every single FIFA career mode, Pulisic.
All the time.
But he's not really had them consistent minutes that he's had. And I think going into international football, confidence is a massive part more than ability. And whoever goes in full of confidence is going to be better players. And whoever can gel into a system. The thing that Pulisic has going for him is that he's a midfielder in 7.5, and he's on absolutely everything. But I think he's also the captain, and I don't think he's that much of an influential captain type of presence. And there has been debates about that in the US kind of media.
Yeah.
Whether Pulisic should be captain or should he just lead the team from the front.
Yeah.
He's not a Dempsey.
I feel like McKennie would be a better captain.
I feel like most of them would. Anyone who talks would,
yeah,
would be a better captain. And who doesn't do kick-ups over an endangered species of fish.
That was really bad.
So I think McKennie, he's a great player. With a lot of them, obviously we've got. I think their starting striker is Josh Sargent, plays for Norwich, I believe. And
well, they've been playing Ferreira.
but obviously they've got Aronson, who plays for Leeds.
Yeah,
Very good player.
Aronson for me is the standout pick. Because he plays right wing every game. He does get goals and assists for them. He's had a really good start of the season for Leeds. He's not a stranger, I think, to people that play the Champions League game. Not necessarily because we've picked him too much, but because he's sort of been in early conversations, like him and Tyler Adams and that sort of thing. So it's good that obviously Leeds bought them both. But I think their midfield as well, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie in there, looks strong. Weston McKennie is a really, really underrated player. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
I don't think it's a coincidence that Juventus have turned things around in the league over the past few weeks, and McKennie is starting.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a coincidence at all. So he's going into the World Cup with playing time. I think if you compare the centre midfield of America and Wales, it's going to be a very interesting battle. To be fair.
I think Wales' midfield isn't good enough. You look at players like Aaron Ramsey in there, who wasn't good enough for the Scottish Premier League last year, not even this year. So I think some of their players are just over the hill, and they're probably going to struggle. That being said, if you're looking at USA defence, Serginho Dest is going to be right back. Is it Robinson? I think
he plays for Atlanta.
Plays left back. He's the more attacking of the two. But I still wouldn't go for any defence, just purely on the basis that I think probably likely to concede in every single game the USA.
It's interesting because for Atlanta he plays centre back actually.
Does he?
I think so. If it's the same Robinson, then yeah, he plays as a.
Bombs on a lot. Should be playing for Atalanta with how he plays.
What happens is the pivot just drops back.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the who played it? The Sheffield United when they had the overlapping centre back.
Yeah, it's McKennie in Tyler Adams filling at fullback when Dest and Robinson bomb forward.
Yeah, so for Atlanta that's what they do. So it's quite interesting when I watched them live. I think a lot of it comes down to. I think this has the potential to be a really high scoring game because both defences aren't
very good.
Yeah, they aren't very good, but their attacking talent. I think it's going to be. I'm going to use another trope. It's going to be won and lost in midfield.
I think it's going to be a tale of two halves.
Whoever plays downhill.
We didn't do a scoreline prediction for Senegal Netherlands quickly. What do you think that's going to be?
2-1 to Netherlands.
I agree. I think it's going to be 2-1 Netherlands. USA versus Wales. What's your scoreline?
3-1 to Wales.
3-1 to Wales. Went for a Wales win.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's going to be.
Only because I'm watching it with my mother-in-law.
I'm going to go 3-2 USA.
Ooh.
USA. Defense. We will fight and we will win. On to.
Do your battery check on your mic? Just have a look to make sure.
I don't even know how you do that.
Just see the green light's on. Make sure it's not yellow.
Yeah, it's green.
Okay.
So we've got top content there from the UCL Fantasy Pod. We've got England versus Iran. So Iran are getting Plazenia here. They've got a good defence.
You don't like Dream?
No.
Against Southgate?
Just have Richarlison. That's the thing, right? It's all about price points. If Taremi was like 5.5 mil as a forward, then yeah, put it on him.
I think the amount of points you get for a goal as a forward and having shots on target, the potential and the ceiling of some of these premiums are just off the charts. So
yeah.
I don't think you can mess around with the forward spots.
Yeah. And I just don't think Iran are going to have enough of the ball for him to have too many shots on target. I think obviously, I'm going to put this back down. I think obviously he might score. He's a really, really good player. He's in excellent form for Porto. After a very shaky start when we did our previews, we're like, oh, Taremi's fallen off. He's really brought it back over the last 10 weeks or so. So if you were going to go for a ramp player, maybe him. He could punt on a defender, but then England are the type of team that'll shithouse this game 1-0 with a Harry Kane penalty. That is us, really. I think we are going to make really hard work of this game.
I think it's because Southgate doesn't know his starting 11.
We don't even know we're starting formation.
Yeah.
We've got no idea how we're going to play, who's going to play in certain positions, because we all feel that certain players should play based on form, but Southgate has his favourites. So how are we meant to predict anything? I think there are 3 outstanding options, and they are Kieran Trippier or Luke Shaw. I wouldn't double up. Do not double up on England's defence.
Trippier plays. I think he will.
I think Trippier starts.
Yeah.
I think he's got a better chance of starting over Luke Shaw because he can play both positions.
I think if I was knowing how Iran set up defensively, though, this is a game where Trent should be starting. But it's just one of them where
I disagree.
So scared to lose.
I disagree. Oh, I'm about to have people haters in the chat.
Go on then.
Probably want to say this live on YouTube. Trent, is obviously class. He's obviously class. But I think what he doesn't get a lot of credit for, I'm going to start nicely, is actually his offensive positioning sometimes, which allows him to be so dangerous. But I also think he often makes the wrong decision on when to cross the ball. So he's a fantastic crosser of the ball. He's unbelievable. But he often does it too early from too deep.
Just like the highlights.
And it's easier to defend. Like I know the phrase is he spams crosses. Whereas having watched Kieran Trippier this season, he's created more chances than any other defender in the league. Most of them are crosses. And he's a world-class right-back. I knew he was good from Atletico Madrid. I thought it was the right time to go because I thought he'd really dropped off at Tottenham by the end. And you can see what Simeone's done, but I didn't quite realise what he's done. And he's at the heart of everything. He's a real leader. And like I say, he's in there with, when you look at the top 5 people that have created a chance in the league, he's the only defender. Everyone else is a midfielder. I don't know why he wouldn't play Trippier. He's got more experience in World Cup games, played in a World Cup semi-final, scored in a World Cup semi-final. I think he might even start at the Euros final, played all of the Euros. I think he's absolutely nailed on to start. And I think he deserves it. I think he's been England's best fullback for club this season. And I thought he was absolutely outstanding at the Euros as well. When I was one of those people that was very sceptical about him playing left back, I thought, Southgate, what are you doing? Actually worked out quite well until Luke Shaw came back in.
Yeah, I think with that and with Southgate not knowing his starting 11, I think you have to plan for the later stages of the tournament. Who do you want the starting 11 to be? Because I think there's quite a common, when people do their brackets and they can say who faces who in each round. I think a common matchup in some of the later stages is England versus France.
Correct.
I think you have to plan for that. And if you're not, what's the confidence level like? What are you? So you have to be who do I want my starting 11 to be versus France? And I need that team playing together a lot now.
Yeah.
Because the France team, lots of injuries. It's a better matchup than what it was on paper a month ago. But they're so dangerous. You need to have this team playing. You just can't play I'm going to give you a few minutes in this game. I'm going to give you just so that everyone has a chance to experience World Cup minutes.
Yeah.
Like he did with, didn't he say that? That's what he was doing in one of the other tournaments. He was wanted to give everyone a chance to tournament football.
I think when we played in the last tournament in the World Cup,
Belgium, wasn't
we're
it?
Through, so he played a bunch of people against Belgium.
Yeah, it's just one of them things where I'm you have to go ruthless, and I think that's where Southgate gets let down. He doesn't have that ruthless winner mentality.
So the other option is obviously Harry Kane. Is Harry Kane?
He's in my team.
Is he? Okay, interested. My issue with Harry Kane is I can't see him scoring more than 1 goal a game. Really, at the minute, I think when you play maybe against USA and Wales, very different. But with my wildcard 2 strategy, he's not right for me just yet.
In my team, the reason I've got him is because I've always said about how selfish he is, and I'm sick of people saying how selfless he is. He looks for the pass and stuff like that. I'm like, no, the reason he's dropped so deep is because he's desperate to get the ball and shoot.
Yeah.
He'll literally shoot if he gets a sniff. Like, and it's like, you had Son right there. Like, why are you shooting? Fair play to Son for having the patience with him, to be honest.
But Son's starting to get greedy now as well. They're both proper greedy.
But with the shot on target thing, Kane shoots at any chance, and the amount of shot on target that he gets, not recently for Tottenham, but for England, like, he'll take on, like, that time when England did get knocked out by Croatia, and he should have passed it, and he went for the shot.
Yeah.
Against Iran, in the USA and Wales, yeah, I'll have them points.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I've got him, is because of that shot on target thing, and I do see him getting the penalty. I do see England getting penalties, especially when you've got like Foden, who gets fouled a lot. You get Rashford, who gets fouled a lot. Like, a lot of the wingers for England are quite high up in the Premier League. They're quite high up in the Premier League for getting fouled, and so yeah, that's the reason I've got them for that. But it's just me trying to be differential, really.
I think he's a great pick for the game after this. I don't know about Iran. I'm just put off because they've historically been very good defensively. Yeah. What do you think the score's going to be? And then we'll go through the comments.
I'm going to go with I'll go 2-0 England.
I'm going to go 1-0 England. Right, okay then. So we've got a lot of comments to go through. A lot of people telling us that Bale is 8 million, so thank you very much for that. Oh my God, thank you so much for all these comments, by the way. I can't read. It's just, as you can see, the sun is
it's
not...
just at that right angle, and then the road is all wet, so it's like reflecting on the road into our eyes.
Right, so Sarabia, Modric, Musiala, Eriksen. Opinions on them four. I'm struggling to pick two of them. I have one of those in my team, which is Modric. Again, all four of those will be discussed. Guys, will the rest get them start? I'm on Kamada at 5.5 million. I'd personally stick with Kamada. That's just my opinion. I think you can get better options. That's just my opinion. I don't know if he's going to start. It's because Maradona. So that's why people like Argentina and Brazil in Bangladesh. Pasveer, don't go for him. Like we've just said, he's the least likely of them to start because of Maradona and Brazilian Ronaldo and Kaká. There we go. Senegal look a mess now. Looks like teams transitioning from their AFCON. Win massively. All right, okay, so that's interesting then. No Bunasar is gutting, correct. You'll both be loving faith when you play the fantasy game. The first World Cup I was in 2010, I remember, and every store I go to, there's posters of either Argentina, Brazil 11. Right, okay. Did either of them? Where was 2010? Was South Africa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Brazil did all right. Did Argentina do very well? I can't remember. I don't think they did.
I think it was the World Cup after that Argentina didn't do well.
No, Argentina got the final after that. Got beat off Germany. I think it was that one that didn't do great. But Brazil did okay.
Yeah, Brazil.
Spain, they got semi-finals. Beat off the Netherlands, didn't they?
I remember Maicon scored that impossible ankle goal.
Yeah. Opinions on Sarabia. I've had lots of people asking for opinions on Sarabia. When we get to Spain, we will 100% be talking about him. Dumfries has been woeful over the last month, like really bad. You're a Serie A fanboy. How has he been for Inter?
Who is it, sorry?
Dumfries.
He's starting most games, to be fair. I think the problem with Inter is the system that they have is all for Lautaro and Dzeko to do well. Dumfries has been very, very attacking if you look at his heat map, and obviously we saw that in the Champions League he was often the furthest up the field. But I wouldn't say he's done badly. I just don't think they have 5 wing backs for two positions, so they rotate almost every game. Like Darmian and Dumfries are mostly battling for that right wing back position. So it's just minute manage.
It feels like we're going to Qatar.
Yeah, when the sun came out, we've just passed the border.
I know. I cannot believe. Of all the days, it's been really horrific up here the last few days. Overcast, rain. We do a stream. Can't bloody see for the sun. I'm having Gareth Bale as at 8 million. I think he's worth it because when he is interested in terms of teams, Bale already won a trophy at LA and scored some important goals there too. Yeah, that is one thing. Obviously, he's playing in America and he's up against an American defence.
Yeah, he's
So
played against some of these players before.
Matty, I have him. Early punt. He is a forward. Lots of people telling us that he's a forward and 8 million. Thank you so much for that. We do appreciate it. Can sub him out if he doesn't score? Correct. But it's also taking up a forward spot. Have him over Rich? Wow, that is a big claim. That is big. Going against the grain there. Best of luck. My inner Real Madrid fan boys, a soft spot for Bale. I think Bale is one of the most underappreciated footballers of all time. How good he is.
Yeah.
But he's playing in a not great team, and he is getting on. Cons about Richo, that is true. Bale could be a great punt on pens, free kicks, focal point. Don't disagree. For me, it's more about money. That's where I'm at. I don't think I can afford 8 million. Is Bale worth it over Lautaro, though? I mean, we'll talk about Lautaro when we come to Argentina. Rather have Di Maria, who's a midfielder, but I have Di Maria at the minute. Rude, Paul, not sure. I don't like the tackles. Reaction thinks it's going to be 1-0 Wales. Let's caveat that with the fact that Reaction is Welsh. Foden likely to play. I think he's likely to play. I think Gareth Southgate would be a
mistake if he did.
lunatic not to play Phil Foden.
Make sure he plays him in the right position as well. Like, I've seen so many things where he's like a central midfielder along with Bellingham, and I'm like,
No.
what are you doing? Like,
His best position for Man City's left wing. So play him there. It's not like we've got any great left wingers, is it? Like, who else can play there? Rashford, Grealish, Sterling, but Sterling plays on the right as well.
there's no good right wingers.
Saka.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Technically,
Apologies, Saka.
Maddison. He's been playing right for Leicester, but I'd still have Maddison in the 10 as well.
Yeah.
I think Maddison's injured as well for the first couple of games. But you guys using 12th man or power cap?
I'm saving power captain later on.
Yeah, I'm saving the power captain for the knockouts, maybe even the final. Could be the semi-final. Could be the quarterfinals. It's going to be one of those. But I'm 12th manning, match day 1, Kylian Mbappe at the minute. What's up? Nice to see you, Glenn. Connor, Emi Martinez is still not present in the game. I think he is. I think his name's Damian Martinez. On it because I think Emi is short for Damien. Because I have him. We're talking about goalkeepers. People have been asking for goalkeepers. Now, unless I've made a huge mistake there, and I've just had my own pants down, I think Emi. But it's Emiliano, isn't it? That's his name.
Yeah.
Maybe they've just got his first name wrong, because he's a 5.5 million Argentinian goalkeeper. No, there is a 5.5 million Argentinian goalkeeper whose surname is Martinez. I think someone may need to go on his Wikipedia and see if he's like
it's just like second middle.
One of these South Americans that are like Carlos Ruiz, Roberto Gonçalo,
Junior.
Espinito Ferran Jr. Like insanely long names. Right. How well will Kane do with their defensive approach? In terms of Iran's, I think he's going to struggle, personally. That's why I don't have him. Aaron feels differently. It's Harry Kane. It's folly to doubt him. And if anyone's going to score, more than likely him. I genuinely think we will shithouse a penalty and score from that. That's how I personally feel. Bellingham is a good option. No, because he's 7, I think. But Gareth Southgate doesn't play him like the Dortmund manager plays him. So he's more defensively minded.
I think it's going to be Rice and Phillips, to be honest.
No, it'll be Rice and Bellingham.
I hope so, but I've heard quite a lot of people say that Phillips is potentially going to start.
If that happens, I don't understand. Why would you play Phillips against Iran?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, even if that is true, then you definitely don't want him. But
that's the problem with the England team is that we don't know our starting eleven.
Yeah, stay away from them. Like I say, outside of the fullbacks and the forward, and even then, let's say you did have Trippier, you might not want him on your wild card after that because is he going to play in 2 or 3? Who knows? Deschamps says no replacement for Benzema. Interesting. You're welcome. Whoop. I've lost where we are.
Yeah, Damian, Emiliano Martinez.
Right. I have Martinez too. Different name. There we go. Yeah, it's called Damian Martinez in the game. I think his actual first name is Damian. Which players are you planning to captain in match day 1? I'm guessing one is definitely Messi. 100% Messi. I've got my team written down here. That's fine. It was fully charged last night. So definitely Messi, and I really like if I can change it during the day. I like a Denmark punt, like a Joachim Mæhle punt. If not, I might just bottle it and like go for KDB or Richarlison or something like that. But Messi, I'm just hoping Messi goes off and then I don't have to worry about it. What about yours?
Yeah, definitely Messi, and he plays on the 3rd day, I believe. So on the Tuesday, I think he plays.
Messi plays. Yeah, he played. Yeah, the third
so
day.
I think he's my first captain. And then I have KDB on the last day, I believe.
KDB's the day after.
Yes, I believe I've got that as mine.
Okay.
Or I may go Harry Kane, double down on it to Messi. Don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go Messi first. I want Messi versus Saudi Arabia. He's going to be my first captaincy pick. And then I might not need to panic. If he does well, fine. If I can then start thinking about it if he doesn't do well. But Denmark against Tunisia, Mæhle looks good. If you know who's starting for Spain, that could be a good one. Again, Belgium v Canada, although Belgium are a bit of a strange one. And then, yeah, one of the Brazil forwards. I think they're probably the best ones. Damian Emiliano Martinez. There we go. Dota Acuna. Yes, he is a hot topic for the Argentina game. Emmy is in the game. Thoughts on Camavinga and Koeman. We'll talk about them when we talk about France. Lots of stuff. We have for the first 2 games. Yep, which means I think Batshuayi would play, but I don't think Batshuayi is very good. How many times can we change captain? Right, so my opinion on this, from what I've read, is that you can have one captain, which you can change as many times as you want until that captain plays. Once played, that's your first captain. You can then change that captain if you want, to lose the points guaranteed. You can change that captain as many times as you want until that captain plays, and then you're done. So you have a total of 2 captains. So pick wisely. Don't know you guys are going without the option of Mbappe captain. It was for, I agree, for A, for money, and B, I didn't fully think, if I'm being honest. I think what maybe would have been a better option for me, I don't know if I can change it, like in terms of the booster has been activated, but after this I'm going to see if I can change and have Kevin De Bruyne as my 12th man.
Interesting.
And then bring in Mbappe, and then I can have another punt in midfield. Because I think at that price point, the midfielders look better than the forwards. So I think you're right.
I do have Mbappe as my start in my starting.
Because Mbappe is a golden captaincy choice against Australia. I totally agree with you. Pick one 5.5 million. Dachi Kamada. I'd go for Kamada personally. It's just me. I know they're playing Germany, but
he plays against them defenders all the time.
Yeah. Germany's defence is the weakest part of their team, especially the fullbacks. But the general back 4, or if they play a back 5, but they generally play 4. Like
It'd be more like Bayern Munich's system that they play.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them literally played for the same manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Manager now.
So that's what I'd go for. Right, quick water break, and then we will move on to Argentina versus Saudi Arabia, because that's where a lot of the questions are coming.
I was about to say, we only have 40 minutes until we're there.
So let's fly through this. Argentina versus Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is getting Plazendia, yeah, because they're rubbish.
Correct.
So,
sorry, even though we love certain people from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Love's a strong word. Grateful for. Getting so much hate now, I can feel it. So we've got.
That was a joke, obviously.
It wasn't. We've got Martinez in goal. Martinez is currently my first choice goalkeeper. Now, I'll try and blend in the goalkeeper question now with who I think are the best goalkeepers, but it's obviously about the balance of who you want to go for. So I think Martinez, for a match, this is just for match day 1, or for the entire competition, actually, I'd say Martinez is the best goalkeeper. 5.5 million. They've got one of the best groups to play against: Mexico, Poland, Saudi Arabia. 5.5 million, so he's not the most expensive goalkeeper. He is quality, and he's good at saving pens. I think he's probably the best goalkeeper to have. The question is, would you rather have him or Acuna? So Acuna is going to be starting the left back most likely for Argentina. Very attacking. Not 4.5 million bargain. Not being great for Sevilla this season, but historically has been a very good player. So it's up to you whether you want to bank the million and risk another goalkeeper. If you are not playing a wild card in match day 2, I wouldn't go Acuna. I'd go for Martinez just because I think he's the best choice for all 3 games. If you are going a wild card, then I think you've got a little bit more flexibility. And if you went Lloris for France against Australia and Acuna are the same price as Pavard and Martinez, and I think I'd rather have Acuna in Lloris than Pavard in Martinez.
Interesting.
Because I just think Acuna is a bit more attacking than Pavard. And I don't get us wrong, they both play quite defensively these days. But I think Acuna's got more players to pass to who can score against Saudi Arabia. Whereas at the minute, France have Mbappe.
Yeah.
They play a bunch of holding midfielders. So that's where my head's at the minute. And I think Emi Martinez is the best goalkeeper on the game. There's a lot of love for Diogo Costa, rightly so, and he was the player that I picked. But Portugal don't really fill me with loads of confidence. He'll probably save 3 pens in a row again. Moving forward through the Argentinian team, we're getting lots of sort of De Paul shouts. But we've seen from De Paul at Atletico that he's very defensive minded. How many tackles is he going to make against Saudi Arabia? I don't think it will be 3. Is he going to score against them? I think it's unlikely when you consider their other options. So I personally don't like the De Paul shouts. I appreciate he's really, really cheap. If you can just find, like you say, another 0.5 million to get someone like Kamada in, or the Uruguayan midfielder whose name I can't pronounce, then things like that could work. Di Maria has been absolutely outstanding recently. I've seen a bit of hate for him on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, questioning why Juventus bought him because of his age. But whenever he plays for Juventus, they are much better.
They're looking a lot better now that Kiesa's back.
Yeah, he's such a good player.
Di Maria on one wing, Chiesa on the other.
I'd love us to buy him. I'd love us to buy Chiesa. He is absolutely class. But with Di Maria, he's on set pieces in terms of indirect set pieces. He's creative. He can score. He presses from the front. So
he does well in tournament football.
Does well in tournaments. Does well in knockout football. I think he's an absolutely outrageous pick, especially when he's passing to some of the talent on that field. Probably get some key passes.
Corners as well.
Yeah, exactly. So,
not that Messi's going to outjump anyone in the corner, but
someone else might. Otamendi.
Yeah, true.
Di Maria, for me, is one of those players that can get points from every possible avenue. And I think he should be the number one owned midfielder in the game. That's my opinion.
Oh, that's a claim and a half.
Well, if you look at who they've got, the best group, he's passing to the best player in the world. He's on set pieces. He takes his key passes. He's a Champions League winner multiple times. He's got tournament experience. He tackles. He does everything. He's going to play.
When you said best player in the world, was that Lautaro?
Yes,
Interesting.
because he is the best player in the world to me because of how much pain and suffering he causes you.
That's true.
It'd be interesting because it's going to be Lautaro versus Lewandowski at some point in this group, so you'll get to see you get
the grading.
you'll just want the match to be abandoned, you.
Yeah.
Obviously, Messi is probably a must. He's not even the most expensive forward on the game, which is insane. He'll be on pens. He'll be on direct free kicks. He'll play every game. He's the talisman. Everything goes through him.
I love that they're acknowledging that as well, because like both Ronaldo and Messi are acknowledging that it's like they're obviously with the chess picture that they posted on social media. Like they're both acknowledging like whatever he does, like our match and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really, really good photo.
Yeah.
But they're both pretty much acknowledging that this is their last World Cup.
Yeah.
They said that 2 World Cups ago.
I think it might be Ronaldo's. I reckon Messi's got another one in him.
I think they're so good that similar to where like they're such at a high level that they'll just come down and be like average for a national team. Like
I think Ronaldo might be at that point.
yeah, Ronaldo's at that point now. I just met with Messi.
Yeah.
I think he'll potentially have another one.
Yeah, I think Messi will. I think it'll be Ronaldo's last. He might have another Euros in him.
Yeah.
I can't see him getting
Messi's
to
just
another.
such good of a passer and stuff. Like, how can you just not have that?
He's good at everything.
Yeah.
So no, it's all good. So Lautaro Martinez, what we're saying about him?
I think, obviously, going off the last friendly, Alvarez was the starting striker because Martinez is just kind of coming back to fitness. He's been starting kind of the last few games fit into, but he's missed a lot of the season through injury. So I think it's quite interesting that Alvarez was the starting striker for a team where they almost played their full strength team and won 5-0.
Yeah.
I think Di Maria scored 2 goals in that game actually. Well, he did something good.
He did something.
That's the top quality
Had
content.
really, really nice hair. That's a lie. He's never had nice hair.
But I do think that Martinez will be the starting striker because he'll be the one who they want later in the tournament to be the starting striker.
So you don't think Alvarez is going to be getting many minutes?
I think he will. I think the problem with Martinez is that he'll be subbed off minutes managed to get up to fitness. Because Alvarez has shown that he is just as lethal as a striker.
Yeah.
That's my only fear about that's why I don't have him. But he is so he's just so bullish, and I think that is going to be what Argentina need in some of these tight games to get them over the edge. Where I don't think they had that before with Higuain.
Yeah, the last sort of Carlos Tevez and his bulldog-like approach.
Yeah.
In the words of every FIFA for around 6 years. I think the last player that they had like that. Lautaro's is absolutely 100% an option. I currently don't have him in again for the minutes thing, but he could go off in a half against Saudi Arabia. I think they're beaten 5-0 in the opener of the last World Cup against a drug-fueled Russia. How do none of us know that they were roided up? I remember watching them going, these have got
Russia
better.
all right, aren't they?
To be fair, Russia normally have a good start. I remember the one of the World Cup games, they won like 4-2 in the opener. I had loads of the players in that as well. I used to love start with some Russian players because they're just all doped up. Easy wins. What's the score going to be for Argentina versus Saudi Arabia?
4-0.
5-0. I was going to say 4, and I just can't bear to agree with you any further. Right, Mexico versus Poland. I'm going to Plezenia this.
Oh, interesting.
Right, I'm going to Plezenia it. Let's caveat. Zielinski plays deeper for them. Not really much of an option. You're not going to want any of the defenders, probably. Lewandowski isn't great for Poland anymore. Like
He didn't do well in the Euros.
yeah, like he's He's not Robert of Bavaria or Robert of Catalonia. Just ignore. Mexico have got Lozano in the showing goal. It was just unbelievable in World Cup. Maybe go for him as a goalkeeper.
I think with Mexico, they always make it out of the group stage, but then lose in the next round. So,
Yeah.
and that's kind of been a common pattern with
Mex-
them. I think
Mexico will go through.
Yeah, like I think they'll beat Poland, just because they always are so fired up for a World Cup. They actually are quite a decent team.
They've dropped off though, haven't they? Because they used
Massively,
to the last time we played in the World Cup, they were normal Mexico, won the Gold Cup every year, finished top of the qualifying every year.
CONCACAF.
Yeah, for CONCACAF. Then the USA started actually beating them, which that just didn't happen for anyone that doesn't really follow American soccer or anything like that. Like it just doesn't happen. They've been trying to figure out a way for like 20 years just how to beat Mexico, and then it started happening, and then Canada overtook the pair of them.
Yeah.
So I think it sort of shows where Mexico are at the minute compared to where they've been historically.
Yeah. When Atlanta United were good in the first 2 seasons, their coach has went on to be the Mexican national team and has kind of picked them back up. Just his style of play, but you're not picking anyone from these teams, so I guess that we can move on from that. I do think it'll be Mexico 2-1 though.
I think it'll be Mexico 1-0.
And obviously people can ask us questions if they want us to touch on any points or any certain players.
Yeah. Denmark versus Tunisia. Tunisia getting Plezeniad?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. They weren't very good in the last World Cup when we had them in our group as well. Again, I think we got a couple of penalties in that game. A pen and a Harry Kane header, I think it was.
In the last minute, yeah.
Denmark, though, outstanding team. I want to try and make these quick now because we've been going for ages.
We have 25 minutes.
So, let's just go out with the great options. Joachim Mæhle, have him in your team. Don't mess around.
He should be 100% owned.
100% ownership on Joachim Mæhle is the goal here. He's so outrageously attacking. Denmark have a great defence, and obviously up against Tunisia, you'd fancy them to keep a clean sheet. You'd fancy him to get a goal or an assist. Moving in, and he's the one I'd go for in defence. If you want to double up, that's absolutely fine. It's probably maybe not for me, but I mean, just because I think what you want from the game are attacking outlets opposed to just clean sheet points, to be honest. I don't think defenders
clean sheets are a bonus.
Yeah, like defenders can't earn
more important in the knockouts when there's less goals.
Like defenders can't earn as many points. Like, so I just think go for, in terms of avenues for getting points. So you want the most attacking players, and Joachim Mæhle fits that bracket. Midfield, I think there's 2 standout options. I wouldn't go for any Danish forward. We don't know who's going to play really. That will take quite a bit. And that is Christian Eriksen and Skov Olsen,
Hero.
the Danish sweetheart. So Eriksen is on penalties. He's on direct set pieces. He's 8 million, I think.
Yeah.
So he's obviously going to be. His price is justified in that respect, I think. So I understand why people want them. Skov Olsen is on indirect set pieces, and he's just a massive open play, goal scoring and assist threat. You'll get key passes. You'll probably get tackles. And it's 6.5. I think 6. I think the 2 million savings personally worth it. I have him in my team at the minute. He's not going anywhere. He's been absolutely outstanding for Club Brugge this season. And we saw them have a little dip in goals when he wasn't playing, came back in the goals again. He seems to just get an attack and return like every game he plays, whether it's for Denmark or for Bruges. Denmark played France twice in the build-up and won twice. Skov Olsen got a goal and 1 and an assist in the other. I don't think he's a player to overthink. For 6 million, people are looking for 6 million punts. He's comfortably the best 6 million midfielder in the game, and because of that, I think it rules Christian Eriksen out. However, if you do want to go for Christian Eriksen, it's absolutely fine because he's still a quality player, and anyone that's on pens is going to be worth having. What about you for this?
Yeah, I've got Scott Wilson, Mela, and I've actually currently, because I didn't know Martinez was the thing, I've got Schmeichel in goal.
Not a bad shout at all.
Because I wanted to, because I know that the majority of people will go Mela, but I think that having two will at least get me over the
How much is he? Can you remember?
5.
Oh, that's really nice. To be fair, that is really nice because you could go for Schmeichel at 5, and then you could go for Cunha at 4.5 with Argentina.
Yeah, but I've got Cunha.
And then that gives you a bit more money to spend elsewhere. So that's actually a really good idea. Might steal that. Might steal it. What's the score going to be for this game?
2-0 to Denmark.
Yeah, I can see the exact same score.
I hope so.
Yeah, Mela and Scott Wilson. So we've got France versus Australia. Australia getting presented?
Yes.
Yes.
They don't have Tim Cahill.
Yes.
They haven't for a while.
They don't have Mark Viduka, or Harry Kewell, or Aaron Moy.
Or Schwarzer.
They don't have Schwartz.
It's turned into an Australian player quiz.
They don't have Lucas Neal. Right, before this gets too far, France. So we've had questions earlier on. What do we think of Camavinga? I can't remember who the other French midfielder. Oh, Pavard was defender. So Pavard is the best French defender to own. The reason for this is
He's nailed.
He's nailed. Lucas Hernandez, Theo Hernandez will.
And Deschamps has actually came out and said in an interview that they are battling for the left back spot. Which is
Makes zero sense.
no.
To anyone that follows football, makes zero sense. Theo Hernandez is a left back. Is one of the best left backs in the world. Lucas Hernandez is a centre back. Is comfortably one of the best centre backs in the world. I've said it before. I think he is the best centre back in the world. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, avoid them. And it's a shame because Theo Hernandez at 5 million would be mustard.
He's been in my team, but kind of just as a placeholder for Pavard because
Yeah.
I'm like, I want Theo to be there. My AC Milan.
You know what? Pavard gets attacking returns. He goes under the radar because he started out as a centre back,
Yeah.
and he occasionally plays there
It
still.
was only the last World Cup when he was actually played as a right back. for the
Yeah,
first
exactly.
time.
And he scored that worldie against Argentina. And then for Bayern Munich, he gets more attacking returns than Alphonso Davies. It's just he's less exciting.
Yeah.
So I think Pavard's a really good pick for 5 million, especially in this game. I don't think Camavinga, Tukameni, these sorts of players are great because they don't get attacking returns, and I can't see them making that many tackles against
I just don't
Australia.
think it's the way that France play. The midfielders are there to kind of sit back and dictate the play. Like, if we think back to how like Pogba and Kante used to play, even though Pogba did score in the World Cup final, that was a long distance shot. And their goal is just to get it moving forward as quickly as they can
Yeah.
to Griezmann, who'll drop deep. So, like, yeah, I don't think the way that they play, it's not the same way as that Real Madrid play, and that they would utilise their players.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think Griezmann is a really good pick.
Especially with the Benzema and Nkunku injuries.
Exactly. Like, you know he's going to play. He is class. He's been brilliant for Atletico Madrid when he has played this year. He's been their talismanic figure. And he's historically been France's best player. I think in the last, when you look at the Euros that they got beat in the final of Portugal, he was their best player. If you look at the last World Cup, I thought consistently from start to finish he was the best player. Maybe other players had better overall games. But he was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, and I think we've kind of been off him because of the whole, he only comes on for 30 minutes. But now that clause has disappeared, and they knew that they weren't going to have to pay that much to Barcelona, he's playing every minute for Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it shows his quality.
And then obviously Mbappe, no-brainer, absolute no-brainer.
He's in my team. It's interesting that you said the Kevin De Bruyne 12th man. I think I might steal that. As soon as we park, I think I'm going to change it.
If I'm allowed to change it, I am going to do that. But put Mbappe in, because I've got Torres as my third forward. And I could change it and go for Sarabia or something in midfield. I don't know. I'll have to have a look. Nkunku's out injured, as a lot of people said in the chat. Benzema, we've already mentioned, is injured. Lloris is the other goalkeeper that we mentioned earlier on. 6 million, pricey, most expensive goalkeeper in the game, along with a few others. But I think for France, if you're going for a wild card, I think he's a great pick for Australia. If you weren't going a wild card, I wouldn't want them against Denmark. So you want a good rotation there. And in that case, I'd just go for Martinez personally. Or, actually, I probably wouldn't go for Kasper Schmeichel in that case either. They are, because of the way in France. And I can see both teams scoring in that game. What's your prediction? France versus Australia?
3-1.
3-1? You think Australia are going to score?
Just, I think if I remember correctly from I think they played each other in the last World Cup. Australia got a fluky goal. So
Can't remember. I'm going to go 3-0 France. Vive la France. Right, we will read all the comments out at the end, just because of time issues. So we've got Germany versus Japan. Obviously, lots of people have been talking about Kamada. He's been outstanding over the last 3 months or so. Another one with a slow start, but he's the one player, I think, from Japan that I feel comfortable going with. And I want to be honest, it's largely out of ignorance.
I got my sports mixed up there. I was like, Japan are a really good team and have challenged teams lately, and then I was like, no, that's rugby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my sports mixed up there. Yeah, I don't know too much about the Japan. I think they qualify.
It's Asia.
Yeah, but they beat South Korea, which was going to be my point. Is that like obviously South Korea were Son, like they only just qualified, didn't they?
Yes,
So,
South Korea are a one-man band.
and we'll obviously touch on them later. Japan have always been kind of. I remember last World Cup they almost beat Belgium.
They should have beat Belgium. Roberto Martinez had a terrible time in that first half.
They're just a team that will run the whole 90 minutes, won't let you have any space on the ball, and I think to other teams, maybe not Germany, but to other teams, like I think they'll give them a really good game, and they always make a good representation of themselves. And I think it's one of them teams where we kind of see how match day one goes, and maybe bring in 1 or 2 players if an easier fixture does approach. Because I think I can't even remember Japan prices on the top of my head, but
Kamada's 5.5, and he's the one I'm looking at.
so I think he would be probably the one you'd want to bring in. But,
I think Germany are going to lose this game.
ooh.
I think Japan are really, really good. They've shown that in the last World Cups when they
Yeah,
come up against really good teams and they get draws or wins. Might be a draw. But Germany's defence is pretty bad, and Hansi Flick is a man who likes to play on the edge. So it's going to be interesting to see how Germany play. I don't think they're solid in any respect. I think if you have a go at them, they're going to be so easy to break down and go through. Obviously, where they're dangerous is in the other half.
Yeah.
So, questions about midfielders: Sané, Musiala, and Kimmich.
At least we know that it's not Joachim Löw as manager, because then we know Sané wouldn't be playing.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't be in the squad.
Yeah.
I think all three are absolutely outstanding picks, and where you want to go is where your budget allows you. So Sané will probably be on direct free kicks, and we know how dangerous he is from the Champions League game. He's always top of the crop in terms of points for midfielders,
Especially in group stages.
in the group stages. He's an absolute machine. Musiala has been Bayern's best player. Like when you look at overall performances, but his output's been absolutely outstanding as well. And we've seen for Germany as well, he seems to be a bit more of a linchpin through the middle. Joshua Kimmich will forever somehow be underrated. Like he never gets into
6.5, I think.
he never gets into the conversation. Or who's the best centre midfielder in the world? Who's the best holding midfielder in the world? If I was to make a midfield three, he'd probably be in there.
Kimmich, he's actually made it into a few of my drafts.
He made it in my first draft.
Because he's on free kick, so I was debating.
Oh yeah, he'll be with Sané.
Because I was debating between Kimmich and Declan Rice just for that defensive midfield, confirmed spot
All day.
And then I was like, it's a no-brainer. It's Kimmich because Declan Rice does not take free kicks.
He doesn't really do much forward for England either. Whereas
No.
Kimmich
Could
also
get the ball, could get tackles.
and
He could play right back,
key passes.
key passes. So I think for 6.5, he has made it into a lot of my teams. I need to see if he's in my latest draft, but he is in there just as like a cheap enabler.
Yeah. In terms of order, I'd probably go Musiala, Sané, Kimmich. That'd be my personal order for them. And
it's kind of like the price points depending on what you can afford. If you can afford Musiala or Sané, you get them in. If not, I think Kimmich is a great safe shout.
Gnabry's a funny one. I wouldn't have to Sané, and he's $1 million more than Musiala. That's the issue. And he's not on any set pieces. He's not had a great season so far for Bayern, although still a bit of a risk. Scoreline predictions.
1-1.
I don't dislike that, but for likes, I'm going to go 2-1 Japan.
Ooh. So make sure you like it.
Like and subscribe for more Japanese content. Right, Spain v Costa Rica. Costa Rica getting Plazenia'd.
Yeah, correct.
Right, Spain. We've had loads of questions about Spain.
Sarabia, the most common one, isn't it?
Yeah, so let's quickly... Defensively, Simon's quite expensive, I think.
I've seen that he's actually one of the most highly owned goalkeepers.
Yeah, it's obviously because they're playing Costa Rica.
Costa Rica are one of them teams where you can't write them off.
Yeah, you can't. I think they'll win, but you can't write them
Spain
off.
I think Spain will win, just because the amount of the ball that they'll have. But Costa Rica are a team where they always have at least one upset in a World Cup.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they finished top of the group of death in Brazil is like, that's madness.
It's I don't really like too much of the Spanish defence. I think they struggled a little bit in the Euros. They do look better with Laporte there and Pau Torres in the middle, but the right backs situation's a bit all over, and the left back situation's a bit all over. I think they're still playing Busquets instead of Rodri and holding midfield. So just little things I'm not too sure about. Ansu Fati looks like he isn't going to be a starter. Morata's back in full training now. So it's likely that it's going to be Torres, Morata and Sarabia. I think they're both excellent picks, to be honest. Sarabia, I think, is on pens. Ferran Torres is a much better player than Sarabia, but we've seen him in the Champions League game just get points from nowhere. He did it in the last Euros game. And I think if you wanted to go for either against Costa Rica, I think they're both fantastic. I've got Torres in at the minute, and it's because I had a forward spot available for a punt. If you have a midfield spot available for a punt, then I think Sarabia is good, and I think that's probably what's going to dictate it. Do you have a forward spot or a midfield spot? Beyond that, lots of Spaniards are questioning how he's even in the team. I think he's maybe been poor this season. He was absolutely brilliant last year for Sporting.
Yeah.
So he's a risk, Sarabia. Torres is less of a risk in terms of we know he's absolutely quality, and when he's on the pitch, he can just score at any time. He's done it for Barcelona this year in his limited amount of minutes. He did it for Man City in his limited amount of minutes. So I'd say, for me, I do prefer Torres over Sarabia, but I think it's a positional thing.
Yeah.
Any more on Spain?
I think Spain are always... I think Spain beat a lot of people in the Euros last time. We were expecting some high-scoring games, but they just didn't get over the... I don't know, they just let a lot of people down because there should have been a lot of great picks, cheap, and then they all of a sudden started rotating, a lot of nailed players and stuff like that. So I think that, it's quite interesting in terms of... For me, I don't have any Spain players, which is a massive, massive risk.
Yep.
But that's literally because I don't know the starting 11.
Interesting. So, scoreline.
I do think Spain will win.
So do I.
I'll go 2-1.
I agree. 2-1. I'm gonna give the next prediction first so that I can't just agree with you.
Yeah, you always let me go first, don't you?
Yeah.
Because you asked the question.
Yeah, true. Belgium versus Canada. We can't Plazenia Canada, unfortunately.
Because they are the best team in North America.
They are the best team in North America, and Kevin Wolf would never forgive us. So, Jonathan David up front. Alphonso Davies is a defender on the game.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he is. 5 million defender. Plays left wing for Canada. That being said, I don't think he's got loads of quality in the final third.
Right.
Alphonso Davies. I think his returns for Bayern Munich kind of prove that.
Yeah.
He doesn't often get goals or assists. I know he's a left back for them, but it doesn't seem to stop Pavard. And there are other full-backs in world football that get plenty of goals and assists, so I don't think that's an excuse. He did really well in qualifying and all that sort of stuff for Canada. Since he obviously had his heart problem, amazing news that he's obviously recovered from that really well. And then he's had another injury this season to his leg, so bit in and out. And that's one thing. Like I think he's a bit of a concern in that sense. So I think he's a risk. As a one-day punt, would you want him against Belgium? Him versus Munya or Castagna? Maybe not. So I think that's the issue. Could concede a lot. What you can't do, obviously, is sub him out. So make sure you've got a defender or a midfielder for the day after, on the last day. Yeah, someone to bring in if he does concede, because obviously you lose a point for every goal he concedes. Every goal that he does score is worth 7. So I think that Alphonso Davies is the best case of risk versus reward in the entire game. Playing as a left forward / left winger, but he's a defender.
Which is his natural position.
Yeah, which is his natural position. He's not a left back originally. But I'm not wasting any money on Jonathan David. And I don't want any other Canada players.
I can't even
really name any. Sorry, Kevin.
Sorry, we didn't present you though.
No, we didn't. Wayne Gretzky, does he play for Canada?
We'll say yes.
Wayne Gretzky. I think the grey one. Belgium, loads of options. Terrible manager. Rough.
He's still in the job.
I don't understand how. But like Belgium have totally squandered their golden generation on him.
Yeah.
Useless manager. Useless. Let's again fly through these options. I wouldn't go for any defenders other than Munya Castagna. I've got Munya currently. Castagna can play both sides, left and right, so I think he's more nailed if you want going a wild card. But what we can do is make transfers during the game. So this is one of those that I've booked in where if he doesn't start, I can transfer him out. But if he does start, Munya is absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
He's one of the best attacking wing-back, full-backs in the world at going forward. He's got great final ball. He can get up and down. He's not like amazing defensively, but he's solid enough. And with them playing a back five, like he doesn't need to be, the right-sided centre-back will slide across. I'm not too sure about clean sheets because their defence is the 3 centre-backs look a total mess.
Sorry.
So that's not great. Lissandro Trossard picked up an injury. We're not sure whether he's fit. He's in my team at the minute. Again, I mean, that's
a shame. He's so good.
He's so good. And I don't know if he's still going to be in my team, if I'm being brutally honest. I've got KDB, as I've already mentioned. KDB has such like Di Maria avenue to points. Beyond pens when Lukaku isn't on the pitch. Corners, free kicks. He can shoot. He can pass. He can tackle.
I'm still in the camp that he's the best midfielder in the world.
He is,
and I don't know I don't know why people debate it.
The only possible debate I could think of would be Luka Modric.
And some people class wingers as like midfielders as well.
38 years old or something, Luka Modric. Yeah, I think he is. I think like him, Modric, and like Kimmich are just like miles ahead of so many of that.
Would that be your World 11?
Probably. Bernardo Silva's good though. I like Bernardo Silva in centre. Anyway, we digress. We don't have enough time for this. Batshuayi is probably going to play up front for the first 2 games for Belgium. Amazing punt.
Yeah, Lukaku's not fit yet, is he?
What a punt! That could be my punt up front, and if KDB becomes my 12th man, that could be really, really tasty. And then move Trossard or someone else, and then I've still got triple Belgium. Anyone else to talk about for Belgium? Courtois is the most expensive goalkeeper in the game. I wouldn't go for him personally. I think Belgium's defence isn't great.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so I'm going to go first for this, aren't I? I'm going to go for 3-1 Belgium.
2-0 Belgium.
Nice.
Even though I've just said he won't keep a clean sheet.
We are terrible. Right.
I think against Canada.
Alphonso Davies hat-trick incoming. Morocco versus Croatia. Morocco, loads of good players. Boufal, penalty taker. Highly, highly recommend him at 6 million. He's the best punt, I think. Obviously, they do have plenty of other players you can go for. Hakimi. Mazraoui. Both fullbacks, both attacking, both get attacking returns. I'm not too sure how well they do for Morocco in general. Morocco are a team full of like players that sometimes can't quite hit it off, with each other, and that's an issue. But if you go for a punt, and Lewis loves Boufal, so I don't think he'd ever forgive us if I didn't. And I think Boufal would be a really, really good 6 million punt third day because he can take him out if you've got a midfielder playing on the last day or forward defender. So they'd be my choices from Morocco. You got any Moroccan sweethearts?
No, but I don't want to go Hakimi. I think he's a little bit of a trap player just because I don't think they'll be as attacking as what Paris Saint-Germain and stuff are. Obviously, I'm not doubting his ability, but I just don't think he'll have the opportunity, as many opportunities as he does for other teams.
Yep.
Obviously, because Paris Saint-Germain have a lot more quality players.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And playing a worse league.
And then we've got Croatia. Always the dark horses. They've been a bit mixed recently.
Apparently, we're here.
Oh, happy days. We'll just park up.
But I don't see a leisure centre.
Welcome to Aaron and Daniel Get Lost live on YouTube.
Oh, here we go. Sorry.
Oh, that's someone's house. That is not a leisure centre.
Unless it's like a League One stadium where it's through someone's back.
So who we got here? Sorry, Croatia. So Sosa, 3.5 million defender, going to be starting a left back. Loads of assists this year, for his club. Absolutely loads. Really hard to look past him. My issue is I think Morocco's going to score, so that becomes a little bit tougher to get when you're on a wild card. In that it's not an easy group. That Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. So I think people need to be prepared that he is 3.5 million for a reason. But if you are looking for something budget and you feel like there's not great value in defenders, he could be the one. So fill your boots. Midfield, Brozovic, I wouldn't go for him. He's a tackling machine, but they're just so undervalued tackles when you get an extra point everywhere else. Modric, really difficult to look past him. I've got him in my team at the minute. Points from everywhere. Pens, free kicks, corners, key passes, tackles. Another one like KDB and Di Maria. Priced cheaper, so at 8 million. And you'd still expect Croatia to A, win this game, but B, like I think they could score a few. I don't think Morocco are like great in defence. So Modric is looking like a really, really, really good pick. Pasalic is cheap, punty, right winger. Never really played there for Atalanta. Plays sort of through the middle, so I think that sort of skews how good or bad he could be. But his minutes will be managed because they've got 3 right wingers and they're all very capable. So I probably wouldn't go for him. And I wouldn't really go for any of the forwards either. I think it's quite simple, this one. Modric and Sosa.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd go for anyone else. What is your scoreline for this?
I think Croatia will win
2-1.
I was going to say 2-0.
Oh, I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1 Croatia. Right, 4 more games left to go. We can do it in the car parks. We've arrived. Have we arrived a bit early?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 35 minutes early. Happy days. So what we'll do is we'll go through the last few games and then we'll address any outstanding questions that are in the chat.
Did you want to find somewhere to get
There's an Asda down there, so again, should we park up an Asda? Should be Asda Bad Boys.
I think I saw a spot, but I'm not sure if it's disabled or not.
Well, I've got my hearing aids, so it counts.
Yeah, but we don't have a badge.
I'll just show them these. These are my badge.
Although people in the chat will probably be like, hey.
That's offensive. I'm the one that can't hear. Right, so Switzerland versus Cameroon.
Okay.
Right. Switzerland have not been great recently, which is a shame because these usually get through every group stage. Beat France in the Euros. They've got the sexiest man in world football, Fabian Schär, playing at centre back. That's undisputable.
This is a spot.
This is a spot. It's got yellow light. Oh no, it's you can't park there. It leads into there. Park in the grass.
Can do.
Um,
first.
Yellow lines there. So with Switzerland, Rodriguez is the penalty taker at left back. He's the one that I think probably be the only one I'd go for from Switzerland. Because they just don't really look that appealing. They may go through, but I can't really see them keeping too many clean sheets, scoring too many goals. You've got a defender as a penalty taker and they're getting 7 points for it. 4.5 million. I feel like that risk, again, could be worth the reward. But beyond that, yeah, Switzerland have really dipped at the wrong time to be considering them as options. You got anyone from Switzerland, Aaron? Or anyone you want to talk about?
I don't, but I think in the last tournament they did the same thing where people were like, "Oh, these could be a dark horse," and then they just don't click in tournament football. Unfortunately, obviously gone are the days of Shaqiri absolutely just saving everybody. But yeah, I don't think there are too many options that I can fit into my team.
Cameroon next. Samuel Eto'o's favourites to win the whole thing. Again, it's quite weird, Cameroon, because they've got some brilliant players when you go through, but they're like so low in the FIFA rankings and they don't actually do very well as a team. And because of that,
obviously people might know how they did in the last AFCON, but
like,
they don't even know.
Honestly, especially with this group, I'd stay away from Switzerland and Cameroon altogether. And this is really important to understand. This is the last day. You can't be taking punts on any of the teams here. So I don't want to go through punts. I mean, there is kind of one punt maybe for Ghana, but other than that, you don't want to. I don't think it's right for people to advise it. Oh, well, you could go for this option of 5.5 million. Blah blah blah. And it's like, well, if they do badly, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
So I think you want your surefire players from any of these teams playing in the last day. So I'll not be going for Switzerland or Cameroon. Rodriguez was in my first draft, and I just thought I can't change it if he doesn't score a pen.
Yeah.
If Rodriguez,
I had him all through the Euros on the basis that he would score a pen, and when Switzerland finally got a penalty, he wasn't on the field.
Shock. Scoreline, I'm going to go. I actually think Cameroon will win. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Cameroon.
Nah, I do think Switzerland will still win, but I think 2-1.
Okay, 2-1 either way. Brazil versus Serbia. Right. Serbia. Lots of people's dark horses.
I think Serbia, who was it in the Euros, in Group A, that everyone was like, "Oh, they'll be dark horses," and then they just absolutely
battered them.
I can't remember who it was.
I can't remember either.
Group A of the Euros, and everyone was like, "These are going to be dark horses. They have these players," and then like they just absolutely bombed and threw it away, and everyone was like, "Why did we even think these would be a good team?"
They have been conceding a lot of goals. They're doing well in terms of results, so I don't think that we should underestimate them in that sense. But they're conceding almost every game unless they're playing against a micro-state like Liechtenstein or San Marino, Andorra, these sorts of teams. So they're playing against Brazil, which means that I just don't think you actually want any Serbian defenders anyway, with the quality of the teams. But I don't think you're going to want Serbian midfield. I think Vlahovic is probably your best chance, but Jovic played up front. They've got too many forwards. Jovic, Mitrovic, who's injured, and then Vlahovic. So I don't even know who's going to play. They played one up front in the last friendly, but they generally play two up front. And they're playing against a Brazil team that really don't concede very many goals. Very defensively minded. Aaron's parking facing the sun, so that's obviously incredibly nice of him. So I honestly, even though I think Serbia will get through. I don't think I want any of them against Brazil. Do you want any of them against Brazil? Do you want any of them at all?
Potentially looking at Milinkovic-Savic, but that's potentially for the other groups and the other games in the group.
Yeah.
Just because Serbia, I don't think Serbia will win this match. I don't even think they have a chance, to be honest. But then from that, I think they're one of them teams where they'll have to play full strength for all 3 group stage games. So Milinkovic-Savic could potentially be an option because he has the most assists this year in Serie A.
Got it. I'm going to go. That is actually, has he really? Wow. Brazil, wealth of options. Alisson starts over Edison, but I think for the price, I don't know. I think Alexandro's starting left back for Brazil. Thiago Silva. The defenders are just too highly priced. They're all like 6 million.
It's crazy that Thiago Silva is 6 million.
Yes, I think it's just because he's a threat from set pieces. But it's just the Brazilian defenders are just too much, too expensive. Casemiro's like 7.5, and it's because he gets ball recoveries but not tackles really. I think he might get just over 3 a game, but this could be a good game for tackles. Serbia versus Brazil. I think it'll be fiery.
I think Fred is potentially a better option than Casemiro.
Maybe, especially for his price.
Yeah, just the price thing, and it's Casemiro and Fred. And if I was a manager trying to beat Brazil, you would say try and go down the avenue that Fred, go down the side that Fred is on. Yeah. And I think ultimately, when you're playing a better team than Man United, he plays as a better player.
Yeah.
So I think his tackles will go up as a result. Kind of the same reason why Trent Alexander-Arnold is so good at ball recoveries. Also, Cancelo's so good at ball recoveries on the Champions League games because they're really, really high up. And then you're like, oh, there's a gap there. Try and exploit it. So I think Fred could be a better option for that price as well.
Moving forward into more attacking players. Neymar, Richarlison. So it looks like, first of all, Vinicius Jr. probably won't start. It looks like at the minute.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is because it's just obviously just because Neymar plays on the left. But it is crazy because Vinicius Jr. is so good. I mean, scary coming off the bench though.
Yeah, when you're tired, you've got Vinicius Jr.
You've just had Neymar run at you for 75 minutes.
If that.
60.
Roll around.
I'm being kind to 60 minutes. Then you've got Vinicius Jr. for half an hour. You'd just be pulling your hair out.
Casemiro was 6 million. I've just seen.
Oh, 6 million. I thought it was 7.5. I saw it in someone's spreadsheet, so they were wrong, not me. It wasn't me. So I think it's Richarlison versus Neymar. Neymar's the better pick because he's on penalties. However, Richarlison is just so much cheaper.
He's a different beast for Brazil.
Yeah, he is. He's their top goal scorer, isn't he?
For qualifying.
And he's cheaper. Plays through the middle. I think he's probably got more minutes in him as well.
I can look up stats now.
Yeah, you can. You now have a phone.
That Neymar's only 1 or 2 goals away from
Pele's record.
He is. So that he could do this during the World Cup, which would kind of cement him as a Brazil legend.
So yeah, I think for me, Richarlison's the pick because of the price. If you want both, then that's fine. Or if you've 12th man and Neymar, that would also be good because you can captain Richarlison as well. I think they're both great picks. They're the 2 best picks from Brazil by a mile, Richarlison and Neymar. Mm. I think Richarlison's one of the best picks in the entire game.
7.5, yeah.
And like I say, Serbia concede. I wouldn't go for the defenders because of how much they cost, and they don't really do that much. Totally forgot about mentioning Perisic. I've just seen one of the comments there. Totally forgot about Perisic on the left. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry. Again, no notes. I knew this would happen. We'd forget some absolutely mental players. So Perisic, yeah, 100% for Croatia. If you don't want Modric or can't afford Modric, he's the next best option in that midfield.
Oh, nice. We've just been spammed. New site with hot
Ooh,
girls.
sexfind.info. New site with hot girls. I'm sorry, we both like boys.
We finally made it. We finally got spammed.
Yes, 3 times. Woo! If anyone wants any sex, this is the website to go to, guys. What's the
So
score?
Just prepare to throw away your laptop after.
Yes. Burn it. Brazil versus Serbia. What's your score predictions?
I think it'll be 3-1.
2-0 for me. 2-0 Brazil. Right. Next up, Uruguay versus Korea. I'm going to Plzeňa Korea.
Yeah, even though they've got Son,
They're still not very
I
good.
think Uruguay are such a good team. Like I think they're more of a dark horse than Serbia.
That's fair.
I don't know if that's a bold claim or not, but
They don't
I
score
think
that many goals.
many people are bigging up Serbia when I don't. They've not done anything in tournament football. They don't have that experience. I don't even think they made it last Euro.
It's just the quality of the players that they've got for Serbia.
Yeah, but I think Uruguay are a much better team.
They don't score many. They just don't concede many.
Mm-hmm.
And Rocher, 4 million goalkeeper, is my backup goalkeeper for Uruguay.
That's a good shout.
Against Korea, I really think he's absolutely brilliant. Yes, when we talk about spam, we were talking about sex, not the tinned meat, Nick. So for Uruguay, Darwin's got to be the best shout. Like,
yeah,
he's so good. I think Suarez is still on pens and stuff, so he could go for the biter himself, but you never know what he's going to do. There's talk of the person whose name I can't pronounce in midfield at 5.5 million. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about him to make a recommendation either way. I just want to be honest.
You've got Valverde, he's quite highly owned.
8.5 mil, isn't
but
he?
He's so expensive.
That's a problem. Valverde is 8.5 mil, but he's class. Valverde would be one of the. If you're going on this season's form, he'd be in the midfield of the season. Valverde.
Midfield of the season, yeah, but I wouldn't say he'd make probably the World 11 bench.
Yeah,
I'd say
he's so good. I think Uruguay could. I really want a Uruguayan player. I've got Rocher, but I think I need someone else.
Yeah, I don't think Korea. Like they only barely qualified.
When you look at the teams in the group, like this group's up for grabs.
Yeah.
So I think Uruguay are going to win 2-0 against Korea.
3-0.
Right, Portugal versus Ghana, last game, and then we're going to go through the comments and we'll go through our teams. Right, so Portugal, they're a bit of a mess at the minute. They're kind of all over the place. I don't know what to expect from them. They're barely qualified. Ronaldo's came out with that interview, and it looks like I mean, they've cleared up that they're not annoyed with them, but they definitely are.
Yeah.
That's how PR should be done. Cancelo's got a few assists for Portugal. Like, he still gets forward for them, but I always can see Portugal conceding, and I can't really see Cancelo scoring. Like, you want scoring defenders more than anything else for 6 million.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a tough group. Ghana aren't an easy team to beat. Uruguay are going to be tough. Yeah, fair enough, maybe Korea. But that's not the game. They've got Ghana. So I can't see them keeping a clean sheet against Ghana. And I can't see Cancelo scoring. So I don't think his assists are enough for 6 million.
Yeah, I agree.
Costa in goal. Diogo Costa could save pens, as he always does.
He plays right back as well for Portugal.
Yeah, he does.
Sorry, you just said that.
Yeah, no, it's all right. And he's a great goalkeeper, Costa. That's why we had him for Porto. We didn't have him on the basis that he was a pen-saving machine. It was more so he's a really good goalkeeper that saves Porto on so many occasions. He gets save points. So if you're looking for save points, I think Diogo Costa will rack them up. Mm-hmm. And he was in my draft. And I think moving forward, he could be. Like, if for the other games, like especially against Korea, that could be a good one to have him for. Through the midfield, like Bruno Fernandes,
as he's called.
Bruno Fernandes. I don't know. I never really seen him perform that well for Portugal. I think he's always in Ronaldo's shadow.
He takes a ton of shots outside the box, though, when he played for Sporting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've not seen Portugal play too recently.
Bernardo Silva doesn't do much. Jota's injured.
I think Bernardo Silva does more than Fernandes.
What do we think about Leao?
Does he start?
I don't think he does.
I was about to say, I don't think.
But he might start on the left. But I think
I think
even
it's because Jota was there though. And
Yeah.
Jota's obviously not.
so, I think he starts on the left. But I think he's a forward on the game again. That's one of the few times I've ever seen you legitimately annoyed by anything. Rafael as a forward.
It's just not fair that other way. I want to choose him.
You'd pick him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if he was a midfielder, I probably would.
Garner, Kudus. I think he's the key option. Yeah, 6 million midfielder, plays up front, own the 10. Outstanding for Ajax this season. What a talent. The issue that I've got with Kudus is he plays on the last game of the last day. So you are going for broke. Now, I don't think that's right against Portugal, even though I think Portugal conceded he might be the one to score.
Mm.
But you want him against South Korea. 6 million midfielder. If you are manipulating this wild card trick, he needs to be in everyone's team when that comes to fruition.
Yeah. No, I think I think Ghana are a better team than South Korea, but South Korea are one of them teams where, I think they only won one game last group stage, and that was against Germany when Neuer was midfielder.
Yeah, 2-0 or something, wasn't it? That was a 1-0.
And I think they're just one of them teams at the minute where I think it was 2002 when the last time they made out of the group stage, potentially. Oh, there we go.
I can't remember the last time they made out of the group stage. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
So
because they were hosting it.
Yeah, and so I think because obviously gone are the days when they had like all them quality players. They are still work. It's not connected to the cup.
Yeah.
So Ghana, I think, are a better team, and I've not given much of the African teams a chance. Ghana, yeah, I'll go with them.
To be fair, I do give Morocco a chance. Senegal have got a chance still.
Yeah, they've got.
Even though they're a bit of a mess.
But just through this episode,
Yeah.
I've not given them much love.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a draw though. I think Portugal-Ghana is going to be a 1-1 draw. Honestly, Ghana could make it through ahead of Portugal. Portugal have got an unbelievable team, and they should be winning the. Portugal should be winning the World Cup. The players are that good. It's a coaching thing.
They play way too defensive for the attacking talent that they have. Reminds you of a team closer to here, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go Portugal 1, Ghana 1. What are you going for?
I'm just laughing at Phil Rossoneri's comment. This feels like I'm watching an episode of James Corden's Carpool Karaoke. You missed the setup. You missed the singing earlier. Seeing like you've only just joined us, so.
Yeah, we've got to do all the James Corden actions though, because he's always like giving it this sort of stuff, isn't he? He's like waving his hands around. He's like,
yeah. But sorry. So I think Portugal will draw. I reckon they'll bottle it. I'll go 2-2.
So we're both going draws. Right, I'm going to quickly fly through my current team as it is, then we're going to go through all the comments, and then that is us done. Yeah. So, I've currently got Martinez of Argentina and Rocher of Uruguay in goal. I've got Joachim Mæhle, Denzel Dumfries, Kieran Trippier, Estupiñán Meunier in defence. I've got KDB, Modric, Di Maria, Scott Olsen, and Leandro Trossard in midfield. Messi, Richarlison, and Ferran Torres up front. Now, as we've discussed on this, I think it's cleared a few things up that if I can change the KDB, then I can go to Mbappe up front and change midfielder, and I'm not too sure about Trossard. And I do quite like the idea of players like Acuna and Pavard as well. Lots to think about. Let's go through some comments. We have... Oh my God, we've got so many, but thank you for putting them all in. As I find them, right, here we are. Up to the Martinez chat. Right, Camavinga and Koeman. Our thoughts on Camavinga and Koeman. So went through Camavinga. I don't think he's great. I think he's a class player. He's an unbelievable player. I just don't think he's a great fantasy option. Koeman, I don't even know if he's going to play because they tend to play quite narrow, and obviously he's a wide player in terms of his ability. And if they were playing a 4-3-3 with Koeman on the right, I think he'd be in my team comfortably against Australia.
Because he's great when it's like crunch time, like when it's like kind of what we always said with Bayern Munich. It's they either blow teams out the water or it's a 1-0, and it's mostly Koeman involved in that 1-0. So I think he'll come good later.
Going with Courtois, I just think for his price, there's better goalkeepers, and I'd rather have Meunier, and I don't think I want to double up on Belgium defence, personally.
Yeah, so obviously this is a bit of a trend, isn't it, where the winner of the last World Cup gets knocked out of the group stage, and that's been going all the way back from Italy in 2006, so it's happening quite a bit. The injuries aren't helping France's case.
I think did it?
No,
It went back before that.
Because that was Brazil.
Oh yeah,
2002.
it was just because before that France won '98 and they went out in 2002 group stages as well.
So Brazil was the only exception.
Yeah.
So obviously the injuries are not helping France's case, but I do think they've got too much quality for the group. It's not like they've lost Mbappe. Benzema obviously Ballon d'Or winner currently, but I think losing Benzema as your starting striker and your replacement as Mbappe is not that bad.
Also, I just think when you look at the groups, when you look at Tunisia and Australia, I think they're too strong. I think Denmark will finish top, though. People have got us playing France in the round of 16. I think it'll probably be Denmark will play it for the finish top.
And I would argue that's a harder match because they've played us more recently and they know how to play against us.
I worry for Belgium. I don't disagree. I just think some of their players are too high quality, and they've got some. It's that opening game against Canada. Once it gets past that with my wild card, I don't think I'll be going for Belgian players, especially against Croatia. Acuna's kind of injured. He's not completely fit. Interesting. All I've seen is that he's starting.
I know he got subbed off in the friendly.
Maybe that's why?
He was the starting left back and he got subbed off, but it wasn't for Tagliafico. So I thought that was interesting.
Was it not?
I don't know. I couldn't see what sub it was.
DePaul is so defensive at Atletico because Simeone is You're not wrong. He has so many attacking qualities. He's a great player at doing everything. I'm just not convinced that when you have so much attacking talent for Argentina, that Argentina aren't going to play him doing his defensive duties. That being said, I don't see why he can't get assists. By the way, if anyone wants to go for DePaul, that's absolutely fine. He's playing for one of the best teams in the world in the easiest group in the competition. So it's not to put anyone off. I just think I'll probably go elsewhere. Martinez, Cancelo, Meunier, and Richarlison, or 6 million keeper Pavard, and oh my god. I'd go for Emi Martinez, Meunier, and Richarlison because I have gone for Emi Martinez, Meunier, and Richarlison.
I'd probably agree with that as well. I just think that the ceiling for Meunier and Cancelo is so much higher than Pavard.
Better picks between Musiala and Sane. Oh my god! I think we did this.
We did. We said Musiala was better.
And it's mainly because of his price. I think if they were both the same price, I'd maybe go Sane.
Yeah.
My heart got broken after what you said about my Poland versus Mexico. Cheers, guys. Have a good ride. Oh, I'm sorry for whatever we said.
Off at that moment.
Yeah, I am really, really sorry. I don't know whether you're Polish or Mexican. But
I think it was Poland.
Best of luck either way. Camavinga. Oh, we've already been through that one. Japan has injury issues and we're just dominated by Canada. But
it's different. It's different when it's group stage.
Friendlies are totally different. I'm not taking stock of many of the frienlies, like the results.
I've not
really
even looked at them all. Like it's mostly been if someone has put a full strength team out, like Argentina did, then you kind of have a look. Because I wasn't expecting Messi to play that friendly.
Yeah, people are trying not to get injured in these games.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big difference. Loads of rotation. Batshuayi, who I've put it on front, 3 goals and 3 assists in 5 Nation League games. That means I can cover for Belgium attack without splurging on De Bruyne. Really, really smart idea. I think that. Oh my god, there we go. What's your guys' thoughts on Modric and / Neymar versus KDB Martinez?
I would probably go Modric and Neymar. I think we're going to disagree on this one.
Yes.
I think two penalty takers rather than just the one.
Yeah, but I think for the fixtures, I'd rather have KDB versus Canada and Martinez versus Saudi Arabia than Neymar versus Serbia and Modric versus Morocco.
Yeah, I guess the context to this question is: are you wildcarding in match day 2? Are you going to stick with these throughout the group stage? Because I think Modric and Neymar in the whole group stage is better than KDB Martinez. That's just me. Just because of the Alvarez situation, where I think I personally think Martinez's minutes will be managed.
I agree with you. If you're not wildcarding, it's KDB. If you're not wildcarding, it's Modric and Neymar. If you are, it's KDB and Martinez. Yeah, thanks for mentioning Perisic. You are absolutely right. Thanks for saying Suarez and Pens have an extra midfielder spot, so I might. Also, it does. I think
He
it
did
does.
do very well in the Euros.
It does depend sometimes on Morata as well. So please be aware of that. Please be aware of that. No, Jesus. Did he play right wing for Brazil? But I think they've got a few players.
Rafinha is
but-
playing right wing.
Exactly. They've got too many players that play there.
Oh, okay.
Anyone that wants any new sex with new hot girls, please just go to sexfind.info. They are our new sponsors. If you're not into love hearts, then green ticks. The green tick shows that
It's official.
that this is all okay. And if you don't like sexfind.info, then try this one with sexfind.info. Jesus can challenge Charlison for his spot since he has been in better.
Ooh.
That's not true. Gabriel Jesus has not been in better form than Richarlison for Brazil.
Darwin Núñez has scored more goals than Jesus this year, and people say Núñez isn't on form.
Yeah, I disagree with that. Yep. We've already addressed that earlier on. Acuna Tagliafico, who starts Acuna if he's fit. Is it better to get a £4.5 million defender, save the money in the bank and get Sosa? Depends on who the defender is. I don't have Sosa. I do have Estepinian.
4.5 midfielders I would choose over Sosa. Probably Mele.
Yes.
Probably Acuna if we know that he's fit.
Yes. Estepinian because I have against Qatar.
Other than that, Sosa probably is equal to
The other.
So it depends on what that million is going to get used for elsewhere.
Let's see if I've got any more other 4.5 millions. No, I don't. So yeah, that's probably about right.
Are we overlooking Griezmann? Was the next one?
Oh wait, that feels like oh yeah, we've had that. Overlook.
We're not. We said that he's their most dangerous player with the Benzema news being out.
So yeah, we think that Griezmann is an absolutely fantastic option. Buffal at 6 million. He's on pens as well. Agree. Mentioned Buffal. He is our pick for the Moroccan forwards / midfielder. I know he's a midfielder in the game. I think he's a really, really smart pick for people that are looking to have a little punt. And it's sort of him, Skov Olsen, and Kudus at that price point that are like the 6 million forward punty players. I think he's better than Kudus for a punt because of the pens and because of the fact that you can sub him out, whereas Kudus is the last game of the last day. Thanks for doing the stream. It really cleared some of the issues and helped me. You're very welcome, Nuclear Atoms. Question is, Rata Torres, oh my god, Bale, Lautaro, Rich for the third forward spot.
It's hard.
Richarlison.
It's hard because I don't know what the rest of your team looks like.
True.
Because these are all at different prices. I would say Richarlison is more owned, so you probably don't want to lose rank not having him. But if you were going for an absolute punt, I would say Bale is probably the most punty out of all of these.
You see, I'd go Torres, but I have gone Torres. So I hope that cleared up nothing for you. I wouldn't. They're all good picks.
It depends what your team is, to be honest. Because if you've got loads of other Argentina players, or if that's your only Argentina player, like you obviously want Lautaro. It's just things like that.
Hello guys, best midfielder for 14 million. You must mean two. Now I have Perisic, Zielinski, but I could have Musiala, Saka, Eriksen, Buffal, Aris. Right, I wouldn't go for Zielinski at all for Poland.
I wouldn't go for Saka because we don't know if he's going to start.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for Saka. Oh my god, Musiala, Buffal, Eriksen, or Aronson. They're all brilliant, but they're all wildly different prices. Obviously, you're saying what's the best two for 14 million?
It's the first three. Who would you choose out of that? And then who would you choose out of the next
Yeah.
two? I'd probably choose Buffal out the second one rather than Aronson. Do you know, I think Morocco stand a better chance in their group than USA in theirs.
It depends. For match day one, I think Aronson's got more of a chance of scoring against Wales than Buffal versus Croatia.
Okay, that's fair.
But I think in the group, I think if you're going for the full group, then I'd go for Buffal over Aronson.
And then if you have no other Germany midfielders, I would go Musiala. If if you have Skov Olsen already, go Musiala. If you have a Germany midfielder already, say like Kimmich and Skov Olsen, I'd potentially go. If you have got Skov Olsen, Eriksen's not there. If you don't have Skov Olsen, pick Eriksen. Giroud to come in clutch. He always does, doesn't he? Even though he scores nothing, he'll go a whole tournament without scoring, but leave with a winner's medal. There's reports coming in the last few minutes that
Noppert is starting, worth the risk to avoid the headache. I just avoid him because I don't think Netherlands are going to keep clean sheets anyway. That's my opinion. Because they're not really been keeping clean sheets.
There's a quote.
I'd stretch to Martinez. If Busquets was the extension of Del Bosque in the midfield, what is yours? Ferran Torres is mine. If not, my daughter cuts my head off. Perfect. I actually, in that case, I might just keep Ferran Torres as my third striker. Thoughts on Estupiñán for first game? I have him versus Qatar.
It's the only way to make the game interesting.
Sub him out if he doesn't do anything perfect. I'd go for him. 4.5 million mustard. Looks like Louis van Gaal is set to start. Andreas Noppert. Yeah, yep. Thanks for the stream, lads. You're very, very welcome. Will Qatar pull a surprising win because so previously the host nation wins the first match and also the bribe. That also, I don't.
They don't always win the first match because South Africa drew against Mexico.
Yep. And I mean, if we look at the last one, Russia played Saudi Arabia and they're all on drugs.
So there has been the bribing claim, so serious questions will be asked. If they do, great. But honestly, I don't think we can risk it too much. Thanks, guys, and good luck.
You're all very, very welcome. So that's us done.
We did it.
2 hours, 10 minutes. Time to go. My throat's killing. Time to go into Asda.
Get some energy.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching this. Absolutely amazing. Obviously, it will be on YouTube for the rest of the day. And then it'll just be old news, I think. So don't forget to follow us. We are at UCL Fantasy Pod on Twitter. Go on our link tree. And all of the links will be on there to our YouTube channel, to the podcast stuff if you just want to listen in the future. Obviously for live streams, we're just going to live stream throughout the World Cup afterwards. Probably not in a car, probably just at home. But because of that, I don't know if they don't go on like Spotify and stuff like that.
I can put it on.
Oh, well, there we go.
Probably not this one.
Probably not this one, with the sound in the background in the car. I hope it wasn't too bad. I hope you could hear what we were saying. And yeah, thank you everyone for just basically saying thanks in the chat, all that sort of stuff. It's been really, really kind of you. And you're welcome, obviously, for us doing this stuff. It's absolutely fine. It's made the journey go much quicker as it was, instead of listening to religious music that Aaron refuses not to play.
It is the Sabbath.
On that note, we'll see you all later. Best of luck. Hopefully there's no tears after match day 1 and loads of rage quits as it is. We'll see you later, everyone. Bye now.